Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting. At 4:30, we had a work session on campgrounds and our board meeting times. At this time, I'll call this meeting to order, and the first item is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. We have nobody signed up to lead us in this, so I'll ask if our Vice Chairman, Mr. Chairman Beaumont, would lead us into our invocation. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for yet another glorious day in Currituck. Father, your blessings upon our community have been large. Father, your favor that you've shown us with weather has been huge. Father, I ask that you would continue to bless Currituck. Father, this evening, Lord, we stand before you and ask for your guidance and your wisdom, Lord, as we consider the issues before us and before this great time. Father, bless this evening, bless each and every person that has attended or will attend. Father, protect each and every one of us on our trip home. In Jesus' name I ask.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Beaumont. The next item is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes or amendments to the agenda this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add an item to the agenda tonight under new business. Item would be item E, a resolution to change the meeting times, the regular meeting times for the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Chairman White. Is there any other additions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion for approval. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. The next item is public comment. This is the time for citizens to come before us. So if they're on the mind, speak to us. We'll listen intently. We welcome the citizens at any time to come speak to us. Good, bad, and different. Anything you want to talk about, we will give you the time and we will listen intently. I have no one signed up for public comment this evening. Is there anyone in the audience who has not signed up who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment, and I will start with the Commissioner's report. And this evening, I'm going to start off to my left and start with Commissioner Douglas.
Thank you, Chairman Payment. On Tuesday, August 30th, Chairman Payment and I both had the pleasure of attending a tour and helping to conduct that tour of the Public Safety Building and the COA facilities with a team of executives from Blue Cross Blue Shield out of Raleigh. The team was very impressed with the building itself, of course. It's beautiful. But they were also very impressed about the collaborative effort that Currituck County and COA has endeavored in offering nursing programs and BLET programs, as well as general ed classes here at the Public Safety Building, which is a beautiful thing with that marriage, because the BLET students go on to be our law enforcement officers here in the county, and our nursing students have done things like help with the vaccination clinics here in the county. And one of the things they were very impressed with, Mr. Payment, Chairman Payment, talked about the Currituck County Health Clinic that is now open and available to both employees and citizens to help bridge that gap, and they were very interested in that. And it was a proud moment for both of us to tout all that's going on with that building, all that's going on in the county. Finally, school is back in session. We've had a tragic start with a middle school student being hit, and those flashing lights when the school's on is at its most dangerous are critical. I encourage people to slow down, pay attention, and really help keep our students safe, because we do not want to have another tragedy like we started the school year with. So please slow down. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, as a nation, we celebrated Labor Day. And for many Americans, particularly children and young adults, it represents the end of summer and the start of back-to-school season. But Labor Day is more than that. It's an annual celebration of workers and their achievements. Congress felt it's so important that they passed an act making Labor Day a legal holiday in the District of Columbia and its territories. And on June the 28th, 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed it into law. I know sometimes we all get busy and we forget to thank those people who make our county run efficiently. From the workers who work hard to keep our buildings clean, our grounds manicured, our water running, our bills paid, our emergency calls answered and responded to, our social service needs answered, our county planning out our future, giving us books to read, parks to play in, and information concerning it all, and the list can go on and on and on. We celebrate the workers of Currituck County and thank all of them for making Currituck County the success it is. And we also thank those that have and are stepping up during our transition time and helping to keep Currituck running smooth. Thank you to our interim county manager and all the administrative staff, because without you, Currituck County would not be what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Etheridge. Commissioner White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not much for me tonight. I just want to let the board members know that I will not be at our next meeting. I'll be, as you all know, out playing in Colorado. So, sorry, Paul, you can't come.
I'm going with Bob.
All right, Kevin, come on. You need a vacation. Hardest working man in Currituck over there. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner White. And I'll just want to state, piggyback a little bit with Commissioner Jarvis. That was a great meeting. Just to look at the enthusiasm in their eyes. They kept asking, is there any other buildings like this in the state? I think we're the first like this. And we talked about in an emergency crisis situation what the facility can do and house and bring together. And the kitchen that we had in there and the washer and dryer. They were just impressed in how long and you know what we could bring to that in an emergency. So they left really eyes wide open and a lot to discuss. So yeah, I think they were visiting all 100 counties, and so far I think they were really impressed with what Currituck was doing, and they applauded everyone in this county, the commissioners, everybody, what we're doing. So that was a good meeting with those individuals. And I'll just also say, be careful on the roads. We did have that terrible accident. We have first responders doing the best they can out there. Support them as much as you can, your fire departments. Get involved. Thank an officer when you see them, first responders, even the dispatchers. They can't be thanked enough. It's a hard job and something that we're real proud that we have these individuals. That's all I have this evening. Vice Chairman Beaumont.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner McCord.
I want to touch a little bit on Labor Day. Labor Day was, like you said, just some numbers, just statistically, and I might not be perfect, but I'm close. You got 10 million plus. There's now hiring signs everywhere, and I'm glad that the government cut off the unemployment. You got 10 million job openings minimum, with 8.5 million out on unemployment. So I'm very glad that was done. The beach has been super busy. I had the privilege of working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night in Kerala for 3 12-hour shifts when I work in the office at the sheriff's office. But they had a good year, and I know businesses struggled having staff. Bob White, Chairman Payment, business owners, just having people to be able to do the regular jobs, and it's tough. So I'm glad that was done, and like I said, it couldn't have been done at a better time, was being on Labor Day. So, reference the county staff, like Miss Kitty said, too. We have some great people. I want to recognize the bus drivers of the county. They take a beating on social. People are hateful on social media. They really are. And they wouldn't say that to somebody's face most of the time, but it's easy to get behind that keyboard and just type away like But like they said, the bus drivers, it's a tough job, and I'm not knocking what they're paid. Like I said, I wouldn't do it for what they're paid, and it's not an easy job, but I do respect the ladies and guys that drive the kids to school, the teachers, the county staff, like Miss Kitty said, the parks, everything that we got. We have a good it's not perfect, but it's good. And if you don't like it here, the housing market's great. You could always sell your house, go somewhere else. But that's just a joke. But like I said, it is. We live in a good place. The little girl that was hit, I was there. I was probably one of the 5th or 6th units that responded. That was a terrible, tragic situation for that family, for an 11-year-old child. Who she's still at CHKD, and that's it's. I mean, from the call to the dispatch to the EMS guys responding, and I mean, Deputy Jeremy Evans, Corporal Jeremy Evans, he was the first one on scene. He was in the turning lane with his blue lights on, working the school zones. We work the school zones every day, and I will state one fact: if you speed in a school zone in Currituck County, I can guarantee you this. I wrote 2 today. I got a 60 and a 35, and I got a 48 and a 35. And it's a $441 ticket. So if you speed in the school zones, I don't care who you are, you will get a ticket. 30 people found that out in the last 2 days. And like I said, there's always a deputy there. There's the SROs. There's somebody in you usually have 2. Recently, because of that, we've had a little bit more. But like I said, be safe. I mean, you get there. If you're late, you're late. You get there in one piece. Everybody in today's times is so go, 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 go. And I'm late for everything. So, I mean, like you said, tonight I had a good excuse. But, like you said, thank those guys, the firemen, the EMS, the dispatchers. I mean, like you said, taking some of those calls, it's brutal. And I mean, like I said, when that call came out, I didn't know. I thought it was in the parking lot at the school, and I was heading that way. But you could hear in the officer's voice, I knew it was bad. So thank those guys for what they do. Dispatch, that job's, like I said, they're the one that take it. They never know what happens. So it's pretty tough. So like I said, be nice on social media. Like I said, post pictures of cookouts or something. But people just can't do that, unfortunately. But like I said, thank you we live in a great county. It's not perfect, but it's good. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Court and Commissioner Etheridge.
Yeah, to follow up on what Kevin said, the school bus driver shortage is not just in Currituck County. It is nationwide. I believe I heard the Virginia Beach Transportation Director say last night they're down 120 bus drivers. So it's not just Currituck County. At the recent North Carolina Association of County Commissioners annual meeting, I entered into a door prize competition and found out week before last that name was pulled, and there'll be a contribution going to Currituck kids from Boomerang Architects.
Well, thank you. They really appreciate that. It stays in the county and helps the kids in Currituck, so that'll be well-used money.
I was asked to designate one, and I designated Currituck kids.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Etheridge. And I will just quickly say, I previously held a bus license when I coached, and I was asked to substitute a few times. Let me tell you, I have much more respect for those bus drivers and those routes after doing it a couple days. So they are, yes.
At least you did it on the way to school.
Woo.
Hey, and
Yeah.
Dr. Luke's here. You could sign up.
Well,
for
yeah. Oh,
that.
no. No, that was the only time I'll do that. I'm telling you, that was tough. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, the next is our county manager / county attorney report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to first report on the results of 2 lawsuits. The first, Allied Properties LLC and Quality Homes of Currituck versus Denise Hall, our Register of Deeds. You'll recall that Ms. Hall was sued originally in her personal and official capacity by the plaintiff, alleging that she had defamed them and otherwise detrimentally affected their business due to comments she was alleged to have made on Facebook and other places about their development projects. Ms. Hall counter-sued the plaintiffs for defamation. The county was ultimately dismissed from the matter, and so it proceeded on with Ms. Hall in her individual capacity. I just received the other day the voluntary dismissals from both the plaintiff and the defendant. They have evidently agreed to a settlement agreement where each will walk away bearing their own expenses, one not paying the other anything. So that's a good outcome, and glad to see that that one has been disposed. Secondly, we've talked about it some during the work session. We received a very good decision from the North Carolina Court of Appeals on August 17th in the matter of 85 and Sunny LLC versus Currituck County. That was the what is known as KOA Outer Banks West campground case. You will recall that the issues there came out of the Superior Court's reversal of the Board of Adjustment's decision, which affirmed the planning director letter of determination that there existed under our ordinance on January 1st, 2013, 234 campsites and a certain number of tent sites, which would have to be determined from an area on the ground that was delineated with a sign that said tent campsite area. And by dividing that area by 3,000 square feet, which was the minimum lot size required or campsite size required under our ordinance. But it seems that we're hearing some over the last few weeks since this very good result affirming and upholding the county's longstanding ordinance that some members of the public are believing that in some way the county was seeking and attempting to shut down a business in the county, which is not true at all. It was a matter of the county defending the integrity of its ordinance. A little bit of background I think is important, and this was cited by the Court of Appeals in showing that the current owner of what used to be Hampton Lodge Campground knew full well what they were buying when they acquired that campground property, but yet they insisted that they were going to do whatever it was they wanted to do, no matter what the county's ordinance said. And so part of the findings and the procedural history cited by the court was this. There was no documentation that the campground's owners had complied with the 1971 ordinance requirements for approved campgrounds, and the campground operated as a nonconforming use. The campground has continued as a nonconforming use under subsequent county zoning regulations adopted in 1975, 1982, 1989, 1992, 2007, and 2013. Now, the important point is that all of those ordinances up until 2013 provided an avenue for the Hampton Lodge campground owners to come into compliance and be a conforming campground that would have allowed for, well, not at 2013, but prior to that, may have allowed for some improvements to the property and to the facilities, but they never did that. And so they really were operating as an illegal use on that piece of property. The court went on to say, throughout the campground's history, owners and developers have submitted documentation to county entities reflecting varying numbers of campsites in existence. A camper subdivision plat showing over 700 campsites was submitted in 1973, but never approved. And yet the county was battered with that piece of evidence repeatedly in this current case before the Board of Adjustment, the Superior Court, and the Court of Appeals, when it was a site plan that had never been approved by the Board of Commissioners. A site plan submitted alongside an application for a conditional use permit for a concert in 1996 showed 234 campsites at the property, 90 vehicular parking spaces, and a tent camping area. A site plan submitted with a similar application in 1997 again showed 234 campsites and a tent camping area. The court then went on to say that despite that, and despite meetings that I personally participated in and attended with the current owners, representatives, and their lawyer, and we informed them that this is a non-conforming use, you've got a lot of problems, you cannot expect under our ordinance to have any expansion or addition of amenities. Despite that, they buy it and submit an application to the county in which they said they had a right to and they wanted 314 campsites and 78 tent campsites and the following improvements that did not exist on the property: 2 new restroom and bathhouse facilities, a swimming pool and pool house, improvements to the on-site septic system, 2 dog park areas, playground improvements, the demolition and replacement of an existing residence, and barn for the caretaker manager of the campground. And in addition to that list, they also wanted to expand and enlarge the camp store building and facility. The planning staff, after some intensive research and counting any kind of building permit, electrical permit, plumbing permit that had been existed for that property since 1968, finally came up with what they believed to be the right number, 234 campsites and a certain number of tent sites. After the Superior Court rejected that determination affirmed by the Board of Adjustment, the Court of Appeals then went on to support evidence found by the Board of Adjustment in its order as follows. In 1996 and 1997, Hampton Lodge applied for 2 special event permits, at which time they submitted a site plan of the campground. The site plan shows 234 campsites. The same site plan was submitted in 1996 and 1997. The 1996-1997 site plan was used at Hampton Lodge. This is critical. It was the same site plan used at Hampton Lodge to direct customers to campsite locations until the property was sold to Sunny LLC in 2018. The 1996-97 site plan is the most competent evidence regarding the number of campsites that existed at Hampton Lodge on January 1st, 2013. So the county staff was right on target. And it was as submitted and requested and approved in 1996 and 97. And an additional interesting point is that after the matter had already gone up to the Court of Appeals, and of course we could not add any additional evidence to the record, going through some additional documents in a file in the planning department, I found actually a sales brochure that had been published just prior to the current owner acquiring the property that advertised it at about 234 campsites. So they knew all along that that's all there was and that's all they ever had a right to. So bottom line is the county did not do anything in an attempt to try to destroy a member of the business community in this county, but did that which I have suggested to you that you would be expected to do as a board, which is to preserve the community's values as expressed through the land use plan and your ordinance, Unified Development Ordinance as currently written, and to defend the integrity of that ordinance until such time as it is changed. Very simply that. And so it was a good result for the county. I don't have anything further, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. The next item is administrative reports, and I believe we have Tamron Kugler with Tourism.
Hi,
Good
how
evening.
are you? Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I would like to introduce to you today, let's see if I can, the African American experience of Northeastern North Carolina. We did try to shorten that, and we call it the AAENENC. Not much shorter, but there we go. So I would like for you to also consider tonight signing a resolution of support for this project. The AAENENC is a digital African American heritage and history trail. And our tagline is connecting people with our Black heritage sites. We have 2 objectives. Our mission, to inspire exploration and appreciation for the African American experience of Northeastern North Carolina and ultimately drive cultural tourism and economic impact. Our vision, the African American experience of Northeastern North Carolina, celebrates the contributions of African Americans and encourages a deeper understanding of the region's cultural heritage in order to build more inclusive communities. So the AAENENC is a collaborative project between 6 counties of Northeastern North Carolina that include Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Dare, Pasquotank, and Perquimans. The project was conceived in the fall of 2020, and Cameron Lowe of Currituck Extension, led our group in 4 online sessions as in-person meetings were not allowed during the COVID stay-at-home orders. These meetings were held in February and January of 2021, and these 4 meetings with about 25 people resulted in an action plan with deliverables that resulted in our launch date of Juneteenth, 2021. So we accomplished all of this with 6 counties in 6 months. We're very proud of that. Each of the 6 counties have significant sites important to the African American communities and to the histories of these counties. For example, you can see one of ours on the trail is the historic Jarvisburg Color School. We also have the Corinth Baptist Church, which is right next door, and Benjamin Bowser's gravesite. The AAE-ENC brings these sites together in an organized way to create a trail for those interested in experiencing these important regional heritage sites. Here you can see the Pasquotank River and one of the sites from Pasquotank. Now the AAE-NENC is made up of a board that is comprised of the tourism directors of the 6 counties. Under us, we have an advisory committee and working subcommittees. So each county has between 3 and 4 representatives to come to the table. The advisory committee members should represent the Black community and or have significant historical or cultural knowledge of the region. The subcommittees that we have, so everyone on the advisory committee has picked a subcommittee, and those are the product committee, the marketing committee, the community outreach committee, which I'm on and what I'm doing tonight, and also the administrative committee. So we're not finished with this trail. We see this as an ongoing project. Once launched, which we did on June 19th, this trail will keep going as a living, breathing project. And in fact, we're having our next full advisory board meeting on September 22nd. And the goal of that is to figure out what we're going to do next. So what we're looking at is identifying sites that are ready for development. We also want to collect oral and written histories, so we can add that to the website, so we have that in hand. And also, by you signing a resolution of support, the counties with these resolutions will be able to go after grant funding in a much more comprehensive manner. So that's what we plan. So far, we don't see an end. At some point, we're looking to possibly create a 501(c). What we're doing right now is all 6 counties are contracting with Martin Arms of Media One, who is acting as our representative. So he's the one that's going out and contracting with our website providers and our other marketing people. So a couple of ways you can help is please go to the website. You know, we want to increase our traffic. Visit the sites if you can. I think when you go to the website, we've tried to organize it in a great manner so you can kind of start up in Chowan and meander your way down to Dare County. We would love for you to share any ideas to improve the project or to grow the project. I'm asking you tonight to consider signing a letter of support and also provide funding and other resources. Right now, the tourism department, part of our promotions is to promote this particular site. And just help us get the word out. You can go to Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And our website is ncblackheritagetour.com. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. This is a really important project, I believe. And the fact that 6 counties were able to get together and actually launch it together, I think is a testament to everyone's dedication to this idea.
Any questions from the board? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, do you have printed material?
I do. I have printed out the slides here, so at least you can capture the Facebook and Twitter accounts. We don't have printed materials yet. That's next on our list. Given the short span of time that we had to get everything together, get the sites that were ready on the trail, that's one of our other projects. So we'll be looking at that on September 22nd. Where are we going with marketing? What sites are we looking at to develop? So we're going to get another plan of action for the next year and looking at the next 5 years.
And then I believe our Congressman Greg Murphy was presented with this and talked about it. He was very excited to let him know something like this was going on in this part of the state here that he represents. So he was very excited as well. So
it's we actually did a presentation on this for the Visit NC 365 conference. Cameron and I did it together. I think it was the fact that Cameron was able to use the Zoom platform to pull us all together. We were even able to separate into our own little groups to talk and then come back. And it was an amazing experience doing it on Zoom. And the fact that we could do it really opened our eyes that these kind of regional projects are very, very possible. So we've been getting questions from other parts of the state who are embarking on their own African American trails of this type. So we've been kind of helping coach them too and getting ideas from them also.
How many sites do you have right now on the trail?
I think it's 30. I don't know exactly. I think it's 30 something. I mean, Dare, of course, has a wealth with the Freedmen's Colony and the Life Saving Station and some of their other sites. Pasquotank has ECSU and some other significant sites. But we're looking at things like Mr. Bias, John Bias, was instrumental in ECSU campus being built, and he also owned land, which we know as Bias Shores now. That was an African American beach. So there's a lot of interconnectivity in our little 6-county region. One of the things that we're looking at is next year bringing on 6 more counties, because we've had other counties surrounding us reach out to us. We'd like to bring on the county that owns Somerset Place and Hope Plantation, and Halifax has some significant sites. So we're not looking at just keeping it to the 6, but we probably will keep it to 12 or 13.
I was commend you on what you're trying to do. I was going to ask about Gates County with the Great Dismal Swamp being part of the Underground Railroad.
Gates has reached out to me already, and I've talked to their commissioner, and they're on our list as one of the counties that we're looking at getting on board after our first year. We really want to get through the first year and then look towards bringing more on. So
Well, let everybody know that that was Currituck originally when Dare County.
they don't like that when we say that.
any other questions from the board? All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll second it.
Motion second. All right. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Greenberg.
so much. I appreciate your time.
I'd just like Tamara and her staff do a great job. Let's tell them
They
keep up
do.
the good work.
They do.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, next item is public hearings. Item A, PB 20-16, Currituck County Text Amendment, Utility and Drainage Easements. Request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, Section 7.3.4, to clarify that maintenance, access, drainage easements must be dedicated to the county and reduce the required easement width from 50 feet to 25 feet along the major waterway conveyance system. I believe we have Jenny Turner presenting this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. The request before you this evening is a staff-initiated text amendment that actually received some input from this board along the way, and I'll go over that here shortly. The draft language will amend the stormwater management standards in Chapter 7 of the UDO, the Environmental Protection Standards chapter. And the purpose of the amendment, as Chairman just read, is to clarify that required easements for drainage that are already required in the ordinance need to be dedicated to the county, to clarify that they are dedicated to the county because the county seeks to preserve access to these drainage features associated with, for future access with stormwater districts that either are existing or may be created in the future. So the county wants access to those major drainage features. And then the next part of the text amendment is to reduce the easement width requirement for easements along major drainage, major waterway conveyances from 50 feet to 25 feet. And so initially, language was proposed by staff that would prohibit, and this is on your agenda packet, page 25 on the application, that would prohibit on-site septic and utility and drainage easements, as well as to clarify that the drainage easements would be dedicated to the county. And that request was heard by the Planning Board in February and March of this year. The Planning Board recommended approval of that staff's proposed language. But following that Planning Board meeting, this board requested a work session with planning staff and the county engineer on multiple stormwater topics, and this text amendment was one of those topics. You may recall a work session was held in April, on April 5th of this year. And following that work session, staff was directed to remove the draft language that prohibited those on-site septic systems and utility and drainage easements. And also the board, with input from the county engineer, directed staff to reduce the required easement along those major drainage conveyances from 50 feet to 25 feet. And so the new language is found in your agenda packet on page 21. I do have included in the presentation materials this map that shows the drainage, some of the drainage features in Moyock, as well as some of those specific major waterway conveyances. For example, you can see Rolling Creek there in the middle and Guinea Mill Canal. Those are examples of the major drainage features. And so this text amendment does reduce the required easement along those major features from 50 to 25. Now, the existing waterway conveyances that aren't the major ones already have a 25-foot easement requirement on one side of that drainage feature. When the applicant comes in to develop a new site, whether it's a site plan or subdivision. And here's just an example on a subdivision plat where you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but there in the middle of the page, there's a drainage easement shown that's 25 feet from the top of the bank of the boundary ditch. And you can see that shown here on the subdivision plat. Is this all familiar? Okay, good. So, in reviewing a text amendment, here are the standards that the board can consider in deciding whether to adopt or deny the proposed text amendment. And staff does recommend approval, as well as the planning board recommend approval of the text amendment as presented in your staff report. And that the text amendment is consistent with the 2006 Land Use Plan Water Quality Policy 6, that the county supports the retention of preservation of vegetative buffers, and Water Quality Policy number 8, that the county shall support the development and maintenance of a countywide comprehensive drainage and flood management plan. And the request is reasonable and in the public interest because it clarifies that required maintenance access drainage easements shall be dedicated to the county to ensure access to maintain drainage infrastructure. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
In that 25, I know originally it was, it used to be 10, correct?
From the major drainage features?
It was,
I'm not familiar if there was ever a time where it was less than 25
there was one,
along
okay.
those.
For some reason,
I know that typical utility and drainage easements are 10 alongside property lines,
Okay.
and sometimes 15 along the front.
No, I do have one question though. That in that 25-foot easement, can they? Obviously, I know they can't have a structure or something like that because we're taking that. Can the drain field? A septic tank drain field runs from here to however far. Can that the drain field go
into the easement? Yes, it can, because this board directed that to remove that part of the
I
language
couldn't
from
remember.
the
I thought we
text
had said
amendment.
that.
Yeah.
And that's the
Took up
draft
a lot of
language that's
backyards
before you.
space.
Okay.
I thought we had said 50 feet in residential areas, because 25 feet is the width of this room roughly, and that's not wide enough to do on these major drainage ditches, it's not wide enough to do a clean out and have it piled to spoil up because it's going to wash right back in the ditch before it can get moved out.
You need 50 feet
I would say 50 feet.
for commercial, or just
Residential.
This is the size of this room. You can put
You put all
put a
kinds of
backhoe in here, and you can stack up some bunch of trees.
because I
on the
think
side of it too.
we'd asked I think the county engineer,
Eric Weatherly
yeah,
was
because
here
he
at
said
that.
Because
25
Eric said
feet
on the
was
25
plenty.
feet was
I'd
plenty.
still say 50.
50, you take a big chunk. They can't
That's a
have
lot of-
a
that's a lot
shed
of
for
land.
50 feet in their back. I mean,
That's a
it's
lot.
you're moving way into somebody's backyard.
I mean, 25 feet's probably almost from us to that.
Development.
Well, from where Jenny is, maybe to that wall back there.
Yeah, but 25
That's
feet's a
that's
lot.
quite a bit of room.
Yeah.
So, any other questions, from Ms. Turner?
Are you done?
No, it's not where that.
Yes, she said. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. I have no one signed up for the public hearing on this. If there's anybody in the audience that showed up late would like to speak on this, please come forward. State your name and address, please.
I'm county staff, of course. Can I go ahead and speak if no one else from the public would like to?
Nope. If you could still state your name and address, please.
Dylan Lloyd. That's 110 Lenwood Court, Hill Devil Hills.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I, of course, was present when we went over this, and I believe, this is a step in the right direction to get these drainage easements. We've had a lot of issues. We've had a lot of issues with the neighborhoods, at the rate of development in this county, just kind of getting in there and guaranteeing future access. So what this does is clears up that language and makes it a little less nebulous and a little more clear. That's me speaking as county staff. I'm also here, not as county staff, speaking on behalf of Chairman Manley West, who is in agreement with the idea that 50 feet might be necessary for the spoils and the maintenance of some of these areas, some of these ditches, these larger ditches, such as Guinea Mill and Rolling Creek. So that's basically it. I didn't really have anything beyond that, other than, I remember the work session. The county engineer has recommended this, and planning staff as well has recommended this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'll go ahead and ask the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve PB 20-16 because the request is consistent with the following policies of the 2006 Land Use Plan, Policy WQ6 and Policy WQ8, and the request is reasonable and in the public interest because it clarifies the required maintenance, access, drainage easements shall be dedicated to the county to ensure access to maintain drainage infrastructure.
Okay, we have a motion. Have a
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
No.
carried. Oh, excuse me, sorry. We have one no, excuse me. Okay. Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Okay. The next item is new business. A, consideration and adoption of resolution opposing General Assembly limitation on county authority to regulate stormwater and other land use matters. I believe we have, is it the county manager,
I'll speak to it, Mr. Chairman.
acting county, okay. Thank you, sir.
This was an issue discussed at a previous work session where it was presented to you, the concern that the General Assembly has proposed in its 2021 Appropriations Act, of all places, a reduction in local government authority, particularly as it relates to certain land use and development authority. In the second recital, it lists those things which have appeared so far in the proposed Appropriations Act, which is in conference now, being worked out between Senate and House conferees. But the proposed reduction in local government and authority includes removing local authority to determine the location of relocated billboards, limiting local authority to establish stormwater regulation essential for the maintenance of water quality, and flood prevention, preemption of local authority on the placement of schools. What specifically that is that the county would be required to allow a school in any zoning district, whether the county believed it to be appropriate district or not. And prevention of local government adoption of ordinances related to the removal of trees. And of course, some of what we discussed about is we have a heritage tree program that seems to have been a benefit to the community. And so then it goes on to recite in this resolution a particular concern to Currituck County is our stormwater flooding issue, and that the result, if this act is adopted or this law is adopted, is that it will allow for, or it will decrease by 1/2 the amount of water that must be maintained on property, and will just do nothing more than further exacerbate flooding situations for folks downstream, and of course impact their private property rights and the ability to use their property fully. And further, it will defeat our plans going forward in some discussion we've had about requiring upstream and downstream analysis and the impacts development has overall in the drainage system. And then lastly, it notes that the very state government that is pushing localities to take steps toward resiliency and the mitigation of hazards is now taking away and impeding attempting to impede the authority of localities to do that which the state has been encouraging and wants us to do. And so this is commended to you to adopt and ask our legislative delegation and the leadership in the State House and State Senate to forego adopting an Appropriations Act with this proposed language contained in it.
Commissioner Etheridge, didn't you mention sending this out to, if it's approved, to the surrounding counties or all 100 counties?
All 100 counties.
Yeah.
Any questions, Cantor? All right, do we have a
Move for adoption of the resolution.
from Mr. and a second from Commissioner Beaumont? Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next item, under new business, be consideration and adoption of amendment to the county attorney employment agreement relative to interim county manager duties and responsibilities.
Mr. Chairman, this is presented to you as discussed at a previous work session to provide compensation to me while designated interim county manager in the amount of $3,000 per month.
Any discussions, further discussions on that?
Move to approve.
Motion is second. Any further discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item is board appointments. And the first item is we have an opening on the jury commission, and I believe that's a consensus appointment. And we have a recommendation for Liz Hodges. And I think it comes with Ray Matusco's approval and stating that she would be a great asset to have on the jury commission. So is there any further discussions on that or other selections? Or
Move to approve.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you. The next item, I believe we have Kevin McCord has a Parks and Recreation appointment.
Yeah, Charles Piquel, his son is college athlete. Charles has been on the Parks and Rec board for probably 6 years, maybe, for a considerable time. He's coached and long time, but he requested to come off, and Bobby Jellermine got all this paperwork in. I confirmed today with him. Bobby coaches, he's assistant coach with the Mayock Middle School and helps in Parks and Rec, lives in Mayock. Very, very good, comes highly recommended, and good guy. And he's my nominee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And that's all we have for board appointments. The next item is a consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is item E, the resolution to change the meeting times, I believe. I'll let County Manager/Attorney discuss that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. After discussion during your work session, the board determined that it would be appropriate to return your third meeting or the second meeting of each month on the third Monday to 6:00 p.m. rather than the current practice, which is at 4. Before you is a resolution required by statute for you to adopt to change that meeting time, so you will be meeting on the first Monday of each month at 6:00 and the third Monday of each month at 6:00. And then as required by statute, the clerk will be directed to post a copy of this at the bulletin board here in the historic Currituck Courthouse and to publish no less than 10 days prior to your next meeting.
Okay, any discussions from the board? If not, have a
Move
motion.
for approval.
Second.
Motion on the second. Any further discussions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? I would just say, so this will take effect for our next meeting then.
So your next meeting,
Okay.
Next meeting, September 20th, will be at 6:00.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and recess from our regular meeting and move into another scheduled work session regarding the county manager search and recruitment. So, on that, I'll go ahead and ask the county attorney manager, he may excuse himself during these discussions. And let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll get started back at 7 o'clock.